Dear Diary, I decided I didn't want Nickolas to pick me up for our dinner date, and I texted him that I would meet him at the restaurant of his choice. After our breakup, I was going to want to leave the restaurant, so I figured it would be smart to bring my own car. I pulled into the parking lot at 8 p.m. and just sat in the parking lot a while trying to figure out what to say and how to say it. This was not something I wanted to do, but felt I had to do. I was tired of my time being wasted. Nick and I have been in a stagnant 5-year relationship, with no talk of moving forward. Every conversation attempt made by me was either shut down or ignored. It was going nowhere. Time was ticking, and tomorrow wasn't promised. I wanted to be a wife, a mother, and build a life with someone. I truly wanted that someone to be Nick, but if that's not what he wanted, I had no other choice but to move on and stop playing myself. I closed my eyes as I gripped hold of my steering wheel, and I whispered a little prayer for God to have his way, to lead and guide me in what to say and how to say it. I left the situation in God's hands. I got out of my car and walked into the restaurant at exactly 8:15 p.m. When I walked in, Nick was already there. I was seated at a beautiful decorated table. Nick had chosen a new restaurant downtown, the one I always wanted to try, but we just never got the chance. As I sat down, I noticed a sense of nervousness in Nick's demeanor. My mind started to wonder, worst case scenario, he brought me to this nice new restaurant to break up with me. Maybe he felt like I was pressuring him too much about marriage and wanted to just go ahead and end things with me. Oh no, this was not happening. I was starting to feel sick at the very thought of Nick ending things with me. At that thought, my heart began to break into a million little pieces. But why? I came here tonight to do that exact thing to him. I couldn't fathom Nick feeling how I felt in that moment. I didn't want to hurt him. I loved him. We have been through entirely too much together. What I had to realize in that very moment is that a man who loves you would never keep you wondering where you stood in his life or have you questioning where your relationship was going. Was this really love or just another form of manipulation? I realized getting what I needed out of this relationship was hopeless. I was going to be hurt with or without him. At least by ending this, I could move on and with time heal enough to move forward with someone else. I decided to have one last meal with the man I loved before breaking things off, reminding myself to enjoy the moment. As the evening progressed, the atmosphere became increasingly romantic. Soft music played in the background, and the flickering candlelight cast a warm glow on our faces. As we were waiting for dessert to be served, Nick took my hand and looked deep into my eyes. He spoke my name with so much emotion that I was instantly lost in him. He began to tell me how much he loved me and how much I meant to him. He said I was his best friend and the love of his life. My heart skipped a beat at his every word. My mind began to race with a mix of excitement and hesitation, not wanting to read too much into what was happening right now. I loudly exhaled the breath that I didn't even realize I was holding, waiting for Nick to continue as he paused to take a sip of water. I was unsure of what he was about to say. I didn't want to misread the situation, as I had done several times before, and only disappoint myself all the more. Nick began again first by apologizing for not handling the idea of marrying me better. His voice was filled with sincerity, as he explained in great detail how he was trying the best way he knew how to prepare himself to be the husband I deserved. He stated that he had been planning and diligently working on becoming a better him for almost a year now. My eyes widened in surprise. My doubts were slowly slipping away. I listened attentively as Nick poured out his heart, expressing his love and commitment to me. He revealed that he had been secretly planning a better future for us. He was also working on a better relationship with God, a better position on his job, more money, and he even put a nice down payment on our dream home right outside the city. He was positioning himself to be the man, not only that I needed him to be, but the man he needed to be for me. He wanted to feel worthy enough to not only call himself my husband, but one day a father to our children. With tears of joy streaming down my face, I realized that Nick had been carefully planning, showing the leadership I desired most in a husband. It gave me a sense of security. To have him as my husband, as head of household, made me feel secure and safe in his care because he was walking closer with God. He stated he wanted to have something to genuinely offer the woman he adored. In that instant, all my doubts vanished, replaced by an overwhelming love and gratitude. As Nick got down on one knee, a small black box visible in his hand, I froze, unable to speak truly in disbelief that this was happening. This is the moment I waited for, and Nick had managed to create a moment far beyond what I could have ever hoped it to be. This very moment will forever be etched in our memories. He opened the box, revealing a beautiful 2-carat princess, cut diamond ring that glistened in the candlelight. With a voice filled with so much hope and affection, he asked me to marry him. Overwhelmed with happiness, I nodded vigorously, temporarily unable to find my voice. Nick slipped the ring onto my finger, sealing our love and commitment. It was at that very moment I found my voice and screamed, "Yes!" The restaurant erupted in applause and cheers as Nick stood and we shared a magical kiss. As my heart overflowed with joy, I realized that sometimes the most beautiful surprises come when we least expect them to. And the time we set for ourselves is not always God's timing. Trust that God's timing is always perfect. As Nick and I embark on our journey of marriage, we know our love is stronger than it's ever been. God is at the center of our marriage, and as long as we keep Him first, we know our future together will be filled with endless possibilities. Always, Ari, P.S. Our wedding is set for December 16th, 2023.